Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, the honorable participant here. The session today is not supposed to be ministerial dialogue because they're just sending a message, so we call it ministerial message. So we know that this session is the accelerating climate action through financing international cooperation of carbon governance. So we want to hear all the message from those 5 ministers, deliver them in terms of the cooperating for the carbon governance. So first of all, here the Ministry of Environment from Republic of Indonesia, Bapak Faisol Nurofiq, giving applause to him, and then His Excellency Rahmat Marzuki, the Vice Minister of Forestry, and then the Honorable Rahel Kite from the UK Special Representative for Climate. Welcome to the Pavilion. And then the Honorable Josh Wilson, MP, the Assistant Minister for Climate Change and Energy from Australia. Welcome to Indonesian Pavilion. And then we start now. I believe that both ministers will be leave earlier, but I have to give the first session to Pak Hanif. Pak Hanif, time is yours to leave a message. Berdiri sini. Can help me.
Sudah iso ya? Tes, 1, 2. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening. Her Excellency Vice Minister of Forestry Republic of Indonesia, Bapak Mr. Rahmat Marzuki. Thank you, Pak. Excellency Miss Nicole Kate, UK Special Representative for Climate. Thank you, Bu. Excellency Hon John Wilson, MP Assistant Minister for Climate Change and Energy in Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia government ensure that climate objectives are systematically embedded into national development planning, fiscal framework, and regulatory system. It is marks that the national level climate objective is integrated into our long-term strategy for low carbon and climate resilient LTS LCCR 2050, and the second nationally determined contribution as second NDC, which guides provincial and district level action plan for mitigation and adaptation at the National Medium-Term Plan (RPJMN). Indonesia also has established a robust fiscal and regulatory foundation through the Presidential Regulation number 110 of 2025 on carbon economic value. Importantly, inclusivity and equity are mainstreams throughout this mechanism. Our policy mandated the involvement of vulnerable groups, local communities, women and youths to ensure that the low carbon transition deliver benefit equitable and that no one is left behind in the pursuit of a sustainable future. Distinguished participants, regarding to institutional mechanism that have proven most effective in Indonesia climate action, it relies on strong coordination across ministries and agencies under a whole of government approach. The designated national authority DNA established for participation under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, which play a central role in the Ministry of Environment along with Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Energy, and Ministry Mineral Resources, Ministry of National Development Planning, and other sectoral bodies. This coordination is supported by Inter-Ministerial Steering Committee that jointly formulate emission reduction roadmaps, regulatory harmonization, and technical guidelines to align carbon market policy with energy transition and land-based mitigation efforts. Indonesia also has developed a national MRV infrastructure measurement reporting verification, supported by National Accreditation Committee, CAN, and Validation and Verification Bodies, LVV, along with the emerging National Carbon Registry and Data Integration Hub that provide a single trusted system for monitoring emission, verifying reduction, and issuing certified credit. To safeguard market integrity, Indonesia has also formed a multi-agency risk management and safeguard task force. Distinguished guests, a just and inclusive transition lies at the heart of Indonesia climate governance. National policy ensure that economy and social dimension of the transition are equally prioritized with the environmental outcomes. Our approach is built upon inclusive governance framework that empower vulnerable groups, indigenous people, and women to participate in climate decision making. Through the benefit sharing mechanism under REDD Plus and result-based payment program like the Kalimantan FCPF Carbon Fund and Jambi Biocarbon Fund, Indonesia ensure that revenue from carbon transaction directly benefit local communities. Gender equality and social inclusion are embedded in climate budgeting and project design. Women and youths are key beneficiaries of capacity building program focusing on climate entrepreneurship, renewable energy, and sustainable land management. In essence, Indonesia carbon governance is not only about reducing emission, but also about ensuring that the transition towards a green economy. Ladies and gentlemen, there are some valuable lessons that can be drawn from Indonesia in leveraging carbon market, innovative finance, and nature-based solution to accelerate emission reduction, such as building a credible and transparent carbon market. Indonesia operationalized its domestic carbon market on 26 September 2023 through the Indonesia Stock Exchange, followed by the launch of cross-border trading on 20 January 2025. This is so that credible carbon market require strong regulatory readiness, robust MRV, and a secure national carbon registry. Integrating nature-based solution and biodiversity credit, Indonesia has pioneered this integration of carbon and biodiversity credit, enabling climate and conservation outcome to coexist. Project under REDD Plus and ecosystem restoration generate dual benefit, reducing emission while protecting biodiversity. This dual credit model increase the environment value of the project and attract ESG focused investor aligning carbon finance with global sustainability goal. Leveraging innovative finance and result-based payment, Indonesia long-standing participation in result-based payment (RBP) mechanism, such as at the Kalimantan FCPF Carbon Funds as a number $110 million and the Jambi Biocarbon Fund as a number $70 million. Institutionalizing safeguards and risk management. This includes prevention of double counting, overcrediting, cybercrime, and financial fraud, supported by digital system certified under ISO standard. The country also established a carbon trade risk management task force. mobilizing private sector and regional leadership. As one of the world's largest nature carbon credit suppliers, Indonesia aims to become the ASEAN hub for carbon market with growing domestic and international demands. Strengthen governance for Article 6 implementation. Indonesia is finalizing its technical guidance and derived regulation for next and preparing to submit it the host party participation (HPP) from under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. Distinguished guests, in the light of the global stocktake, Indonesia recognizes the bridging the implementation gap and driving collective ambition under the Paris Agreement require both strong national leadership and deeper international cooperation. At the national level, Indonesia is institutionalizing into policy and fiscal framework with the second NDC and the LTS LCCR 2050. The government is also finalizing technical guidance and derived regulation under the carbon economic value framework, as well as advancing its readiness for Article 6 implementation, ensuring that host party participation (HPP) from an associated governance mechanism are submitted and operational by December 2025. On the international front, Indonesia continue to strengthen bilateral and multilateral partnership through Mutual Recognition Agreement (MRA) for carbon credit interoperability. Through leadership within ASEAN and the Global South, Indonesia advocate for an equitable global framework that ensure that fair access to climate finance, technology, and market. We believe that inclusive and transparent carbon governance supported by mutual trust and integrity is essential to accelerate the collective journey toward achieving the goal of the Paris Agreement. Thank you very much. Obrigado.
Thank you, Pak Menteri. Now the second one is Pak Rohmat Marzuki, the Vice Minister of Forestry of Republic Indonesia. You can start to deliver your message.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. His Excellency Hanif Faisol Nurofiq, Minister of Environment of Republic of Indonesia. Her Excellency Rachel Kite, Special Representative for Climate of the United Kingdom. Thank you. His Excellency Josh Wilson, the Assistant Minister of Climate Change and Energy, Australia. Thank you. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me to deliver this statement on behalf of the Minister of Forestry of the Republic of Indonesia, who conveys his warm regards and appreciation to all participants of this Ministerial Dialogue. Firstly, please allow me to express my sincere gratitude for this timely event, which underscores the importance of strengthening international cooperation in carbon governance, held during the opening day of the Indonesia Pavilion at COP30 UNFCCC. I would also like to take this opportunity to convey my highest appreciation to His Excellency Bapak Hasim Jo Hadikusumo, the Special Envoy of the President of the Republic of Indonesia on Climate and Energy, for his unwavering guidance and leadership. His vision and continuous support have played a pivotal role in advancing Indonesia's climate and forestry agenda. One of the most important milestones under his guidance is the issuance of Presidential Regulation Number 110 in 2025 on carbon economic value, which reaffirms that Indonesia's forestry sector holds a strategic role in providing high integrity carbon credits. The President regulation ensures that carbon markets deliver direct benefit to local communities through mechanisms such as social forestry schemes and critical land rehabilitation programs. It enables communities who conserve and manage forests to gain tangible income from their stewardship. To translate this policy into practice, the Ministry of Forestry is now preparing for derivative regulation to strengthen carbon market governance. This includes revision to Ministerial Regulation number 7 in 2023 on carbon trading procedures in the forestry sector. And then number 8 in 2021 on forest zoning and the preparation of forest management plans, as well as the utilization of forests in protection and production forest areas. And number 9 in 1991 on the management of social forestry, as well as a new regulation on the utilization of environmental services within conservation area. Together, this regulation will provide a solid legal foundation for a transparent, credible, and effective carbon market system in Indonesia. In parallel, our collaboration with international partners continues to deepen. Last October, we reached an important milestone through the signing of an MOU between the Ministry of Forestry and the International Emission Trading Association, IETA. And 2 days ago, we signed a MOU with Integrity Council for the Voluntary Carbon Market, ICVCM. This partnership established a framework for capacity building, technical cooperation, and knowledge exchange to support the design and the implementation of Indonesia's carbon market. It also strengthens private sector participation and enhances Indonesia's engagement with global market stakeholders. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, all of those awards are fully aligned with the national vision articulated by President Prabowo Subianto toward the Golden Indonesia in 2045. Among its central pillars are food security and environmental stewardship, two intertwined foundations upon which Indonesia's sustainable and prosperous future will be built. These are not abstract aspirations, but mandates for real transformation, calls to reform our institution, modernize our governance, and align economic progress with environmental integrity. To realize this vision, the Ministry of Forestry has set in motion 5 flagship programs that serve as our strategic compass. The first, digitalization of forest services, harnesses technology to strengthen transparency and accountability in every process. The second, equitable forest management ensures inclusivity through the recognition of customary rights and community-based stewardship. The third, forest as a source of food security, promotes innovative agroforestry system and sustainable use of non-timber forest products to enhance rural livelihoods. The fourth, preserving Indonesia's forests as the lungs of the world reinforces our long-standing commitment to conservation and rehabilitation. And finally, the One Map policy provides an integrated spatial foundation to reduce land conflict and guide green investment in Indonesia. Those programs collectively reflect Indonesia's determination to balance economic growth with environmental responsibility. Our success in forest fire mitigation exemplifies this commitment. From 2.8 million hectares of burned land in 2015, we have reduced the figure to only 213,000 hectares in 2025. A transformation achieved through an early warning system, rapid coordination, and multi-stakeholder cooperation. At the same time, we are modernizing our 57 national parks, integrating digital monitoring systems, improving safety standards, and promoting sustainable ecotourism. Large-scale restoration projects further demonstrate the spirit of progress. For the example, $150 million restoration partnership in Waikambas National Park, Lampung, for instance, is projected to create 750 jobs and generate $450 million in economic value while protecting the endangered Sumatran elephant. Similarly, the Pesangan Elephant Conservation Initiative in Aceh with UK and WWF, established on 20,000 hectares, a land donated by President Prabowo, safeguard 100 wild elephants, and fosters coexistence between people and wildlife. Through such reform, Indonesia is transforming the carbon economic value of forests into a new engine of green and inclusive growth. This direction is further reinforced by the President's bold commitment to rehabilitate 10 until 12 million hectares of degraded and critical land, demonstrating Indonesia's strong political will to restore ecosystem and enhance carbon sinks. Aligned with Indonesia's energy transition, we are also advancing bioenergy innovation, particularly through sugar palm-based bioethanol, with an estimated potential of 24 million kiloliters. This initiative will not only accelerate renewable energy adoption, but also reduce fuel imports by up to 50%. At the heart of our inclusive approach lies social forestry, which grants legal access for communities to manage forests sustainably. Today, 8.4 million hectares have been allocated, benefiting 1.4 million households and creating 5.6 million green jobs nationwide. Equally significant is our commitment to the recognition of customary forests, ensuring justice and empowerment for customary or adat in Indonesia communities. The Customary Forest Task Force, established earlier this year, has already facilitated the recognition of 70,688 hectares with a target of 1.4 million hectares by 2029. All these initiatives are closely aligned with Indonesia's Volunetzing 2030 commitment to ensure that by 2030, our forestry and land use sector will absorb more carbon than it emits. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, looking ahead, the Ministry of Forestry stands ready to work hand in hand with our international partners to shape a trusted, transparent, and high-integrity carbon market, one that delivers meaningful climate action while empowering people and preserving nature. In this spirit, Indonesia's forestry sector envisions itself as a global carbon hub where high-quality carbon credits from sustainably managed forests can contribute to global climate ambition while promoting local prosperity. Our forests, sustaining biodiversity, water resources, and livelihood for millions, are ready to serve as a cornerstone of equitable and impactful climate action. With this, I conclude my remarks and I thank you.
Thank you, His Excellency Rahmat Marzuki. So now I will invite the international friend from Honorable Rachel Kite for UK Special Representative for Climate.
Assalamu alaikum. It's wonderful to be here in the Indonesia Pavilion in Belém at COP30. And it's very important that we're here because we're talking about an extraordinary, fast-paced transition of carbon governance in a country to whom we owe a huge debt of gratitude for its protection of its forests and for whom we will be a practical partner in the years to come, because we all depend on what you will be able to do over the next years. And we're here because, as President Lula said, this is the truth COP. So this is the COP where we hold each other to account for what we said we were going to do, that we are struggling to do, and we have to call out and point to the lessons of success and say, let's do more of that. And we have to be able to say, okay, we're not going fast enough here. How do we rally around to go faster? And this is really the COP then about accelerating implementation, and it's only done in partnership, which is why I am here today. So I'm grateful to Indonesia for filing its NDC just a few days ago. Thank you. And like many other countries, it shows that there's much more work to be done. So we have to wrestle with the emissions that come from our economies and from our industrial processes, and we have to be able to protect the forests, which are so important, not just for Indonesia, for the rest of the world. I also want to commend Indonesia on its leadership by making a decision to invest in the TFFF. I hope that the United Kingdom, which said not now, but not no never, will join you in the due course. No, I think it's really important that leadership comes from every continent now. It's long ago that leadership came from just one hemisphere or from one region. And I think that's a powerful message to bring out of this COP. What I've seen our partners in Indonesia doing over the last year, building on work that had been done previously, is really begin to put in place, as we've heard from my friend, the Minister, and from the Vice Minister, all of the building blocks of how we will be able to project confidence to investors and project developers that this is a place where you can build a high-integrity carbon business based on the integrity and the management of the patrimony of the world's forests, which Indonesia protects for us, and that we will be able to, on that basis, bring streams of revenue into the future bioeconomy of Indonesia and the advancement and the prosperity that all Indonesians deserve. We are a partner to Indonesia in this because London is, I think already, but we aspire for it to be, the green financial centre, certainly of the Western Hemisphere, where green bonds, blue bonds, the carbon markets are alive and well, and where we can bring not only project development, but financial engineering, the legal basis, and all of the other attendant parts of what it means to be in a market which is well regulated and in a market which is of high integrity, that we can bring the whole of London, representing the financial acumen of the United Kingdom, to bear to support Indonesia's growth. Also because we have, together with our partners in Singapore and Kenya, been building a coalition to grow carbon markets, which is focused on all of the things that the government needs to do in every country to make clear to the private sector that its role in the voluntary carbon markets is needed, wanted, appreciated, incentivized, and eventually regulated. And coming out of this COP, I believe we're seeing strong signals from the Brazilian presidency about the alignment of compliance markets. We're seeing strong signals about the need to align taxonomies around the world, and we're seeing a stimulation of the voluntary carbon markets, as well as then the ongoing conversations about implementing Article 6. So we believe that there is high integrity behaviour on the demand side of the voluntary markets, and we're really pleased to see the agreement with ICVCM and Indonesia, because we're very proud of the extraordinary work that ICVCM has done since the Glasgow COP just 4 years ago. We are working on an Indonesian strategic partnership which is being signed and which has been negotiated at the level of President Prabowo and Sir Keir Starmer. And this shows a political commitment to a partnership, and at its centre is the clean growth of Indonesia, and at the centre of that is the work that we're doing together on growing the carbon markets. I think it's also very important to see the extraordinary work across government that's being done on all of the different regulations, the decrees, the signals, the incentives that are being put in place, and also to see that the Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Forestry's efforts to really drive the biodiversity and conservation angles in carbon market design. And I just was very lucky to have another meeting with my dear friend Pak Hashim, the envoy from Indonesia, talking about growing the blue carbon markets as well. So here we are in a country which is in transition, a country which has extraordinary challenges ahead, but is determined to try to build a high integrity market with all of its facets. And if we are able to help them to do so, we will all benefit. And this is a complicated story. It's a story where the simple explanations don't really reflect what this is all about, and where simple stories can actually distort what is really the real aim of what we're trying to do. And so this is one of those stories that needs to come out of this COP into the global public, so that the public know that these kinds of new markets are actually going to be for their benefit. So we would like to see work on effective pricing of carbon spreading out over much more of the world's emissions. We would like to see effective pricing of carbon through trading schemes, compliance markets, taxes, whichever way. It is remarkable to me that at 10 years after Paris, Lord knows how many years after the first Rio conference, that we're still struggling to put in place the most effective and efficient market signals and economic policies that will allow us to value that which should be valued and to drive out of our economy that which is polluting. As we look forward, we've got very important discussions next year on aviation, CORSIA, regulations, etc. This is a central tenet of modern economic policy. This is not a market that is done on a voluntary basis only by sort of crazy environmentalists who just spend their lives in far-flung parts of the world. This is central economic policy. We need to bring it in from the cold, and the United Kingdom is proud to be Indonesia's partner in this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam. The last message will be delivered from Honorary Josh Wilson, the Assistant Minister for Climate Change and Energy of Australia. Time is yours.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies. Selamat siang. Assalamu alaikum. It's lovely to be with you. I have the difficult task of being the fourth speaker. My three ministerial colleagues have said some wonderful things, and I don't want to repeat that. I do want to say what an honour it is to join this event in the Indonesian Pavilion. Indonesia is such a significant friend and partner to Australia. And so it's an honour for me to be here representing our Minister for Climate Change and Energy, Chris Bowen, who gives his apologies for not being here today. As Special Envoy Kite indicated, we've got this massive challenge. We've got the biggest challenge really that's faced humankind, and it requires the biggest systemic and industrial transformation that humankind has ever undertaken. And in order to do that best, in order to do that the way that is required, we need effective governance. To To a lot of people, that's incredibly boring. If I'm sitting at a dinner table or at a water cooler or catching up with young people, and I say, let me tell you about governance, I find that I'm standing by myself very quickly. But the truth is that governance is all of the things that we have to have. You know, governance is the roadmap, it's the quality assurance mechanism, it's the safety net, and it's the mirror by which we are held accountable, by which we hold ourselves accountable, by which our communities hold us accountable, and hopefully by which they have faith in the actions that we're taking on their behalf. Now, the overarching governance is evident all around us. It's the UNFCCC, it's Kyoto first and then Paris, and now this COP process. And we need to double down in making that process as vital and constructive and effective as we can make it at a time when there are multilateral challenges. But then, of course, there's governance at the national level and the interface between the two things. You know, the way that we pioneer things at the national level and then share and collaborate internationally. And Australia has gone on that journey, and it's a journey that will go for some period of time and loop back on itself, because the size of the challenge is so large. You know, sometimes we describe it by saying that we need to do everything, everywhere, all at once. And we need to have governance systems that allow that, but we also need those governance systems to evolve and to keep getting better, to remain agile and dynamic as we go. Now, in Australia, of course, we have governance on emissions reduction. We bring our NDC commitment into our Australian frameworks. The NDC commitment itself is made on advice of the Climate Change Authority, an independent body that lets the government know what it believes is the ambitious and achievable target, and we've adopted that in September. At the same time as we accepted our first national climate risk assessment and a new national adaptation plan. We have governance in relation to our energy transition. We have the Australian Energy Market Operator and the Australian Energy Market Commission that helps tell us what it is that we need to do as we track towards 82% renewables by 2030. As we continue the journey that we've been on for some time when it comes to distributed energy in our towns and cities and neighbourhoods and households. And then we have governance when it comes to abatement and sequestration. So there's been a lot of talk about carbon markets. You know, we do operate one of the largest, highest quality, high integrity carbon markets in the world, the Australian Carbon Credit Unit system. And I'm glad to have responsibility for that system, and that's a critical part of what we're doing. We then need to take that governance and look at the lessons to be learned from partner countries and multilaterally and share that information. We do that through ASEAN, and the ASEAN Energy Ministers meeting that I attended recently, and we do it in direct bilateral partnerships. We have a climate infrastructure investment partnership with Indonesia, Kinetic. We have a clean energy and clean industry partnership with the UK. And then we bring those things to gatherings like this, and we try and find the resolution that is necessary to make sure that we deliver what our communities expect and what the world deserves, which is an effective reduction of emissions so that we can have a livable climate, so that we can have a safe planet. And in order to do that, we need to deliver on our promises. And I go back to the plenary and all of the incredible contributions that were made, but one of them that stuck with me was from Laurent Fabius, and he said, it's time to implement, baby, implement. And that's something that we need to do. So Australia will continue to do that on our own terms. We'll continue to do it in partnership with countries like Indonesia, certainly the UK, with the ASEAN region and with the globe. And we want to take that one step further next year. We want to bring the world from the green lungs of the planet here in the Amazon to the blue Pacific continent and take that focus and that work that we've done together to the next step. So we hope to do good work together over the next 2 weeks, and then we hope to do good work with you in 2026 at COP31 in partnership with the Pacific in Adelaide. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, thank you for the excellent message from the Minister in terms of accelerating climate action through extending international cooperation of carbon governance. So So because this is not dialogue, this is message. So I think I should, with thank up for all of you, I should close this session for now and I return to the MC. Thank you very much and see you next session here in Indonesian Pavilion.
Thank you, Your Excellencies, for the wonderful insights and for sharing your perspectives in our beautiful pavilion. Thank you very much for your time. Terima kasih, Pak Agus, for moderating the session.